What's up, everybody? I'm here for another video, submitting to the voice of God, even when it doesn't make sense. Submitting to the voice of God, even when it doesn't make sense. Now, if this your first time ever watching my videos, my name is Cami Knight with The Higher Love. Very briefly, my story was I awakened. I found myself in a very bad place in my life and my marriage and my health and the way that I view God and the way that I view money, the way that I was showing up. I carried a lot of internal baggage, a lot of childhood traumas, things of that nature. And I was showing up in all of that baggage. I was over 70 pounds weight. I struggled with my weight, not even recognizing that my physical weight was tied to the internal stuff that I was carrying, how I saw myself. I had the encounter with God in a broken place in my life. God began to intervene and literally have a conversation with me, began telling me who I was and who I wasn't, and also showing me that the things that were showing up in my marriage, the things that were showing up in me as a mom and as a in all the areas of my life was a byproduct of my beliefs. I went on the journey to heal and unlearn. And my life has never been the same ever since. My weight started losing, and I did a whole program about that, of how to lose the internal weight. All of that jazz. And so another thing that God spoke to me as far as during that time of as I was having that encounter with God, God spoke some things over my life. And this promise that God had spoke to me in the areas of my life that God had said He would, in short, reconcile and bring things back to whole, bring things back to its original design, bring things back to how God originally called me to be. And so in that, not only in that, God also told me, now I need you to let go. That was very, very hard for me because I was accustomed to doing things and on my own, so I thought, and figuring things out and trying to make things work. The more that I leaned into my own understanding, the more chaos and the more chaos happened in my life. I kept trying to do those things and not listen to God. God told me to let go, but I thought in my mind, God, I don't trust you like that. I'm used to hustling and bustling and figuring things out on my own. So I'm going to try to fix my marriage. I'm going to try to fix my health. I'm going to try to fix my finances without you. So I heard what you said, but I'm about to figure this all out on my own. And I later realized that I was creating so much heartache, unnecessary suffering in my heart, in my mind, and my soul. And I finally surrendered and let go and let God. When I finally surrendered, let go, and let God, I felt such ease, and things began manifesting. Things began to heal in its own time. It has not been easy, but it has been worth it, and it gets easier because I now understand how I am spirit versus my mind. I now understand the sovereignty that I have over my mind. So when my mind goes, sometimes when it goes haywire, or sometimes when I have like these tries to think of solutions and ways of trying to figure things out, I understand, number one, that I have my importance of submitting to God, the voice of God, even when it doesn't make sense. So, submitting to the voice of God, even when it doesn't make sense. It does not mean that once you surrender and submit to God, that you ain't gonna have tests. That's just like marriage. Once you surrender and submit to your husband, once you submit as unto God, once you don't miss that, what I just said. As unto God, surrender one to another as unto God. But I want to focus a mirror on you as a woman, or if you are a wife, and really just you as a person submitting yourself to the voice of God really is everything for your life, even when it doesn't make sense, especially when it doesn't make sense. Because it requires you to lean into God without leaning into your own understanding, to lean into God without leaning into your own understanding. This requires you to stay connected to God and not connected to your own understanding. It requires you to stay close to God. It requires you to pray. It requires you to meditate. It requires you to stay in that vibration. It requires you to stay in tune. And so I recognize that submitting myself to God is and was everything. That it is tied to every flow and fabric and vibration of your life, even when it doesn't make sense. God has given me so many instructions in my life. Well, not a gang of instructions, but I mean, like, God will tell me a specific thing and I'll be like, huh? That's very uncomfortable, God. God, that's very uncomfortable. That don't make sense. Don't you see X, Y, and Z? Don't you see what I have? Don't you see what's in front of me? What do you mean do this? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? That's not adding up. That don't connect. So what I'm about to do is and then I hear, no, you're not. What? Remember what I said. Don't you trust me? Remember what I said. And before, many years ago, before I was really didn't abide with the Holy Spirit, before I had awakened, I used to really think that I was doing something. Like, I really thought that I was doing something. And I don't really think that it's anything wrong with it. It's, it's what you're taught. You make things happen. You use your brain. You sometimes we get caught up in, the world system and how the world tells you how to live and how to be. And then when God intervenes, you're in a totally different realm. You're in a kingdom mindset. You're in a different dimension of how God sees you. And then trusting that intuitive flow, no matter what it looks like. The only reason why, I'll just say one of the main reasons why I have submitted and surrendered to God, even when it didn't make sense, is because I got tired of trying to do it on my own, thinking that I was doing it on my own. I got tired of having palpitations of the heart. I got tired of literally carrying like this pain, this baggage that I was carrying that I thought I had to carry. That's heavy. Now, I felt it physically. I literally felt it physically. I literally felt the physical weight on my chest, like sitting on my chest. I literally felt the anxiety. I literally felt the adrenaline. I literally felt, how it's very similar to like the adrenaline that you feel like when you see danger, or like when everybody says run, or if you see, I don't know, let's say you see a pit bull coming, like charging your way, and it looks like it's hungry and it's coming after you, right? And let's just say, how does your body kick in? Your body kicks in adrenaline, right? Well, sometimes that is a similar analogy when we think about stress. So when we think about carrying internal baggage or carrying internal weight, we carry that same adrenaline. Your body's not wired to carry that. But guess what? I had carried that same adrenaline in me for years. And I recognized that was a trait that one of my close loved ones had, that I had picked up. And when God said, let go, even when it didn't make sense, it was meant for me to let go. Because what I recognized on the journey, that after I let go, that God wanted to heal me from all of that, but I had to be willing to release it over and to let go. So submitting to the voice of God and leaning into the voice of God is, even when it doesn't make sense. God may instruct you to do something, and oftentimes you got to be quiet. God may instruct you to do something, and oftentimes it requires you to step away from the crowd. I've always been a person naturally to never really fit into the crowd. I've always been liked by people, but in truth, I've always been in tune to something different. That's just the truth. And so I understand now that even now, it's been a blessing, because I really have learned how to march to my own beat, meaning listening to the voice of God and not really listening to the crowd, and really adhering and trusting that voice. And it has really that truth has really set me free, even when it doesn't make sense. I've been able to be in tune. My gifts heighten, even when it doesn't make sense. So I encourage you, there are so many benefits to following the voice of God, even when it doesn't make sense. You know in your soul what the truth is. Stop manipulating it. Stop trying to, well, God, I heard you, but you don't understand. So I'm about to, you can choose that. God's not going to force you. But what ends up happening is that because you are in the will of God, because you are called, you're going to be pulled right back to the very thing that God called you. So why not just stick it out? Why not flow with the voice of God? Why not do it when it doesn't make sense? And allow what needs to allow in your life to come forth. There was something that God spoke over me in the very beginning, and it said, your eyes haven't seen, your ears haven't heard, neither has it entered into the hearts of man what God has in store for you. For you. So I want to encourage you on today. Lean into the voice of God. Trust it, even when it doesn't make sense. All right. If you guys want to hear more videos, go ahead and click the like button and subscribe. All that jazz. That's all I got, y'all. Have a good day. Bye.